Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with the Empire, gonna be facing up against the Greenskins in a classic humans versus orcs and goblins matchup. So let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions as the battle is already underway. We've got Boris Todbringer as the Lord here. Of course, he's got the regeneration of the Midland Runefang as well as Crush the Weak. For infantry, fairly familiar if you've watched many of my Empire games before. We've got 4 spearmen with shields up front, 3 swordsmen behind, Sigmar's sons in the center. Also got a Shadowcaster this time. Because Boris comes with his own regeneration, I don't feel like I need to invest healing in my Lord. So we've got the Grey Wizard here. He's got Enfeebling Foe, Melkos Mystifying Miasma, and the Penumbral Pendulum. In addition, I've also gone very heavy on the Reiksguard this time. We've got 4 units of Reiksguard. One of them is the Zintler's Reiksguard. These guys are very good kind of mid-tier cavalry, good all around in almost any situation, going to be able to deliver a lot of shock damage to greenskin infantry. So we've got 2 here and 2 are on the far side, and of course the Vanguard action with 3 units of Pistoliers. So honestly, I think Outriders are probably going to be a little bit better in this matchup just because Ragnarok Queens, Black Orcs, and things like that you're going to want the armor piercing for. But in general, the Greenskins tend to lack armor, so I figured the Pistoliers would be a good pick here. They can definitely dish out a lot of damage, and one thing to note about the Pistoliers, guys, is they actually shoot 2 bullets at a time. So it's actually a multi-shot unit, which most people don't think about, but because of that, they actually dish out, you know, a full 90 shots, which is about the same as a Free Company militia in terms of volume of fire. They can definitely put quite a bit of damage on some low armor targets. You can see they're already putting a serious dent in these Spider Riders right here. For my opponent, he's got a huge vanguard of Nasty Skulkers out on this side, a couple of Spider Rider archers here, the Mangy Marauders, very nice pick. 3 units of Black Orcs, a single Orc Boy is the sweeper. He's also got an Ragnarok Spider. Wurzag is the Lord here. He's carrying Effigy to Git. He's also got Get Back here for that extra leadership. Here we go. Fists of Gork, Bonewood Staff, and Squiggly Beast, as well as, of course, Wurzag's Revenge. So let's go ahead and kick things into full gear as we watch the battle unfold. So obviously we're going to be getting a little bit of a skirmish phase underway between these Pistoliers and the Spider Riders. Just going to be kind of kiting around, shooting back and forth, not really wanting to engage either side on melee. But yeah, just going to be kind of pushing these guys back. And then I am going to discover the hidden vanguard of Nasty Skulkers here. So we're going to bring around the Pistoliers to shoot at the Nasty Skulkers. Of course, they're low armor, unshielded targets, so the Pistoliers will be able to dish out some pretty severe damage. You can see already a few gobos dropping on that flank there. But the push is coming. You can see the Black Orcs, Ragnarok Queen kind of slowly making their way over from this side, while my opponent just content to kind of skirmish here. This is a little bit dangerous, though, as these Nasty Skulkers are now isolated from the rest of the army, which means they're going to be able to get kind of inundated by my infantry here, and we should be able to sweep them up without too much issue. Of course, Boris does cause terror as well, so you can see they're kind of pushing my Pistoliers a little bit over on this side. Spider Riders also firing in, doing a really nice job at kind of poking away at my Pistoliers here, but we are putting in some heavy damage on these Nasty Skulkers here. Then we're just going to charge in. He does pop a smoke bomb, pinning all of these Pistoliers in place, but we meant to charge in here. We're going to get the infantry in for support, and meanwhile, over on the far side, just kind of bringing back these Reiksguard, falling back slightly into more of a holding position just to keep my opponent honest. We're going to drop Boris down into the Nasty Skulkers here and try and just terrify them off as quickly as possible. You can see that once the terror takes hold, they are going to all flee from the battlefield. So they were able to do a little bit of damage to my Pistoliers. All 3 units have taken quite a bit of damage at this point, but just the mobility, being able to isolate these units here and then drop in with the quick terror bomb, similar to the Beastman game I showed the other day. Very strong. It's one of the roles that the Pistoliers can play. We do have an Ragnarok Queen, not an Ragnarok Queen, but an Ragnarok Spider coming through. So we're definitely going to need to pull back with the Pistoliers, and although they don't do much armor piercing, they can help poke away at the Ragnarok Spider a little bit here. But it is going to be a really rough situation. The Ragnarok does pretty heavy armor piercing, so I'm not going to want to bring I'm not going to want to leave Boris in here for too terribly long, especially with the support of these regrouped Nasty Skulkers here. We're going to be coming in and doing some nice damage. You can see Boris is starting to take some damage, and the Effigy to Get as well from Wurzag now pinning him in place. So even if I wanted to pull him away, I couldn't. You can see Boris is regenerating, but also taking a substantial amount of damage. A lot of that damage is just going right through his regeneration. But all things considered, it's going fairly well. We've got the Reiksguard turning the flank here, routing off and finishing most of these nasty skulkers who had come back from routing here. We are now going to kind of use them to pin in place, and you can see we've pulled back. The Pistolier is going to be shooting into the Ragnarok Spider. Although, like I said, they don't do great armor piercing. The leadership effect and, you know, any damage we can get in there is going to be very useful. Here we go. Looks like it's being dropped from Wurzag here. But we are going to get a general charge underway over on this side. The Reiksguard going to be charging head-on into Black Orcs. Not going to do the most damage just because Black Orcs are a heavily armored unit, but a very cinematic charge, just sending those Black Orcs flying, doing a decent amount of shock damage. I mean, maybe 10 to 15% HP damage there on a very heavily armored unit. It's pretty solid for the Reiksguard. I am going to need to pull away very quickly, though, because the Greenskins do heavy AP damage there with the Black Orcs. So you can see Boris is in pretty rough shape, actually wavering on his leadership and now routing off, just being just chomped on by that Ragnarok Queen there and all that jazz. So very rough stuff with that. Here we go, the Ragnarok Queen's up to 99 melee attacks, so going to pretty much make consistent contact with every single attack animation. Boris just did not like that, so he has routed off, unfortunately, but things are not looking too great for the Empire at this point. We've got Black Orcs kind of cleaning up the infantry here. We did pull back the Reiksguard, though, for another cycle charge. Going to be dropping another beautiful Penumbral Pendulum right through these Black Orcs. Did catch a few of my own troops, but they're just cheap state troops compared to the expensive Black Orcs here, so some decent work done there from the Shadowcaster. You guys know I'm a big fan of that spell. But now we're going to be dropping that Milkos Mystifying Miasma, just trying to slow Wurzag down more than anything while we try and get away with the Grey Wizard. Maybe these Pistoliers can shoot on him a little bit as well, since he has relatively low armor, only 55. So yeah, meanwhile though, state troops are starting to push through on a few fronts. Things are looking a little bit better. I'm actually going to pull them back because I don't want to really chase those Spider Riders. And we're going to try and kind of rally things together and take out this heroic squad here while we keep these Black Orcs isolated. Unfortunately, the state troops I had kind of defending here did rout off, but now the Reiksguard are having to be thrown in a little bit more of a holding position. They have been able to do quite a bit of damage, as you can see, but now a rear charge coming from the other group of Reiksguard that had gone and turned the flank. They swept that one unit of the Orc Boys, rather, that was standing in this pocket here, and just came all the way up and around and got a really nice effective rear charge on those Black Orcs. So caught between two lines of Reiksguard, these Black Orcs are really not having a fun time. Very cool combat there. You can see Wurzag is a little bit isolated here. Just got Empire State Troop Spearmen chasing him around at this point. So anytime he slips up on his micro, he's going to be caught by those anti-large troops. Boris did come back from routing. He wasn't quite finished off there. The Ragnarok has kind of been poked away at continuously by the Pistoliers here. They've been able to use up pretty much all of their ammunition and, you know, get some decent work done, definitely. Now, though, with Wurzag being a little bit isolated here, we're going to drop Boris down and try and get a few attacks on him. Possibly Terror Rout him off. I mean, Wurzag does have Frenzy up currently, so he's not immune to Psychology, but hopefully if we can do enough damage. But he actually turns around. One thing people don't realize is Wurzag is actually pretty brutal in melee on his pig especially. He's got armor-piercing weapon strength, pretty solid combat stats, doesn't have great armor, but currently hit by that enfeebling foe. Going to pretty significantly debuff his combat stats. And people ask me, enfeebling foe and harmonic convergence, you know, what type of situations are they most useful in? What type of units should you use them on most? To be honest, they're good in pretty much any situation where you're battling in melee, but particularly heroic combat or large monsters like this Ragnarok Spider, for example. If I had, you know, my Spearmen fighting this Ragnarok Spider and I had Lord of Heavens, I might drop the Harmonic Convergence on the Spearmen with shields just to do damage to a high-value target there. Likewise, using the Enfeebling Foe on your opponent's Lord or other high-value monsters, or even high-value infantry like, you know, a Chosen or something like a Black Art of Nagorond, for example. You know, any type of high-value combat, those are the best places, you know, where you're going to get the most value out of a spell, like Enfeebling Foe, or Harmonic Convergence for that matter. It's kind of mirror counterparts. So at this point, we're just trying to break the Ragnarok Queen's leadership. I really don't have the AP troops to kill it very effectively. Don't have the AP to smash the spider, unfortunately, but you know, just through pure leadership and attrition, we should be able to rout it off here. There is still one healthy unit of Black Orcs as well, kind of fighting in this pocket, so looks like Wurzag did manage to survive. See him dropping that. Here we go. You can see the green magic going off there and that template popping up here, but Wurzag is going to be routed off before he can finish casting that spell. Boris actually comes down and just goons him, just finishes him off here. So unfortunately, the Great Green Prophet falls this day to Boris Todbringer, and it is going to be a victory for the Empire. the leadership of the Greenskin forces are not going to hold up too well after that. So we'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit through this late game here as my Pistoliers kind of charge into combat with the Ragnarok Queen, and then promptly decide that that was a terrible idea and run away. But just trying to finish off these Black Orcs in the center. You can see they're just completely surrounded by state troops and Reiksguard at this point. Not going to be able to hold their leadership together, so we'll go ahead and fast forward through the end as we kind of just mop things up. So very well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. It's a very fun battle. I really like this matchup. It's one of my favorite matchups in Total War Warhammer 1, and it has proven to be still a very fun matchup in Total War Warhammer 2. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army breakdown here. We'll kind of take a look at things. I mean, really, the Reiksguard were the MVPs for me, and I invested a lot of resources into them, so I would hope that I could get my money's worth. But particularly those two that ran through this Orc boy here, and then got around, did a really nice rear charge on those Black Orcs. 120 kills and 195 here. This Reiksguard managed to pick up an XP chevron. State troops, you know, they did their job holding in the center. The Pistoliers were actually a surprisingly decent add-on. They did some nice damage early on to those Force Goblin Spider Riders. Kind of forced a little bit of a mistake for my opponent to charge in his Ragnarok, you know, separate from those Black Orcs, which ultimately, you know, ended up being a mistake. Although he was able to do a significant amount of damage to Boris and just about finish him off there. Wasn't quite enough at the end of the day, but really like this build for my opponent. Most people nowadays aren't bringing handgunners against anyone, so yeah, the Ragnarok Queen, although it may seem like a pretty risky pick on paper, you know, with how things have kind of been going in the meta, I see how it could work. I still think, like I said, Outriders may have been better here. I could trade the 3 Pistoliers for 2 Outriders, and they would have been much better at taking down the Spider, obviously. But, you know, having the Pistoliers kind of on the periphery, fighting the, you know, Wolf Rider Archers, Spider Rider Archers, that sort of thing, you know, they're also able to do a ton of damage to these nasty Skulkers. So, you know, it's a bit of a tough pick. I definitely think that both Pistoliers and Outriders can be useful in this matchup. But for this build, I figured the heavy cavalry would be enough to carry, so I didn't need the AP of the Outriders. And thankfully, I was able to pull through on this one. So hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.